Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. How are you? Hope
Here we
you're
are
doing
again.
well. Yes, here we are on this rainy Friday afternoon
Yep.
with some better news about the stock market than we had last week.
But what about the rest of the weekend? It's supposed to snow again. So
Get ready.
yeah, it's going to snow 4 to 7 inches, I think, on Saturday, right? That was the latest forecast.
Yes.
But then again, Hannah here believes she's from the South and she knows snow better than anybody. So that's...
Yeah. You just love busting my chops.
So she thinks
But
that...
it's like,
she says it's
well,
too warm
actually,
out there for snow to stick. So there's your official
according
forecast.
to SI Live, it's going to be gone pretty much on Sunday because it's 44 degrees as a high, so well above freezing.
If it's not...
So I'm not that concerned about it.
If not, I could throw snowballs at you if it's not gone by Monday.
Well, they'll be slush anyway, so I'm really not that concerned about it.
But anyway, so anyway, it's an interesting week, very interesting week as far as the stock
Financial
markets and
for sure.
Like, we kind of talked about it last week about how that would impact basically the real estate market and if we thought it would have any impacts. Lo and behold,
Back up again.
yeah, it's back up again.
Not quite to its high, but it's on its way.
It's about 4% higher than
it was this time
last week.
I think even Monday, it's 4% higher than
Yeah,
Monday.
it's 4% higher than Monday, and it's going to. When you look at it, you really have to say that was a little strange turn. Right?
Yeah, like what's going on here?
Yeah, what is going on there? So, basically, one of the things that happened this week was that, according to MarketWatch, which is CBS affiliated site that does market reports, that there was a whistleblower that came out and said the volatility index, which is a derivatives-based market on how quickly the stock market fluctuates as a way of making or hedging bets against the stock market, was somehow manipulated. And one of the this stuff doesn't stop people. Really, it's like the derivatives markets and things like that. And if anybody doesn't know what derivatives are, they're basically almost bets placed against certain things happening within the exchange. So,
Which, if this is true, like how sinister is that?
well, it's just not sinister since that, they've been the derivatives market has never been regulated, and it just leads to bad things. So it's just this is one of the things with the stock market that kind of left the last market in its dust. It just left that whole market in its dust using derivatives. But now with this volatility index, the derivatives are hedging bets against how quickly up and down the stock market. Lo and behold, a whistleblower comes out to the SEC last week, and boom, an investigation into volatility. So it kind of does that create what happened on Wall Street last week? It's hard to.
Yeah.
It's all speculative at this moment, but
maybe
folks,
not.
you can't make this stuff up. It's just getting people into a frenzy, and it may not have been anything but
It's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
someone
it's really
made
all we
money.
can say.
Someone made money. That's for sure. When
Someone
down
made
the
money,
market, or
someone lost money.
yeah. But
That's the stock market, though.
yeah. So that's an interesting take. As far as the real estate markets are concerned, like I said last week, I didn't think that the fundamentals in real estate had any impact on really anything to do with Wall Street. So I think you basically see a resumption back to normalcy on Wall Street, and then, but we still have to see. We do see some slowing in activity in the real estate markets. Just based on some internal analytics, and it's seasonal. It's still start in the season for the market to really start moving. Usually toward the end of the month, this month, you start really seeing things pick up into March and April. So it's really coming up on that time of the year. So anyway,
off to some more fun stuff. We are going to talk about our 7 ideas for things that you think we need in Staten Island, and some of them are real, some of them are just ideas.
Yeah, but I think one of the things is being on Staten Island for as long as I have. Ooh, that's scary.
Which is since you were a little tiny baby, right?
Yeah, I moved here when I was about 10 months old. But
so essentially you are a Staten
And
Islander.
I won't say how old I am to say how long that's been. So it's a lot longer than...
There's some careful language there.
Yeah. But, there's a lot of things on Staten Island that, like, it's the wish list, sort of say, of, like, what do we think...
That's a good way to put it.
What do we think Staten Island could use? And one of the things that we didn't include in the list was the wheel. Because the wheel is like...
It's something we kind of agree on at this point.
Is it imagined or is it real?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have an answer
because it fit between the imagined and real, it didn't make the list.
It's somewhere off in the Twilight Zone, I think.
But I don't think, one of the things about the wheel is that if anybody doesn't know, it's kind of
not happening.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it happening, but we'll see.
Yeah, there's no for sure answer. It's basically stalled at the moment. So.
But what are those projects? Now, you're only here for a few years,
yes.
right?
Yes.
You're a Florida State Seminole.
I am a Florida State Seminole.
And, coming up to New York, Staten Island, how she arrived in Staten Island is, probably a long story.
Yeah, lots of twists and turns.
But, coming to New York and you say, well, you come to the New York outer borough, what kind of do you see as like the best projects we could probably look to in the future, and we would consider them? What exactly what would you look for, and what we would look for?
So yeah, I mean, I think I have kind of an interesting perspective because I have spent most of my life elsewhere, and Staten Island was never a place that I really heard negative things about, despite maybe that some people have. I never really heard much about it actually at all, really positive or negative before I moved here. I was kind of just, yes, it does.
It records.
So don't say something stupid, Hannah.
Hot mic.
For me, I think, and I have it as the number one thing on this list, the biggest thing that I think is holding Staten Island back, and this was actually something you brought up to me, was the fact that we only have one train. And the North Shore, the most densely populated area, has no train leading to the ferry or to the city.
So what we'd put on the top of this list is definitely the North Shore Railway.
Yes.
The North Shore Railway was basically a proposal, and I can go back into this, that really floated around in the early 2000s. The Staten Island Economic Development Corporation had done some feasibility studies in regards to creating that North Shore Railway, and to this date it's not here. But one of the things we should look at is that we should have a North Shore Railway, being that you think about the size and the population of Staten Island since the time these railways did exist at one time.
Yes, we have a skeleton of the railway, actually.
And it's still like the track is all, lots of the sections of track, the rights of way is still in place.
Right.
And, the new Bayonne Bridge has some room there. So connecting, the North Shore to basically the rest of Staten Island, and then even into New Jersey and right into Manhattan. It's a big, big benefit, and I think it would be a big, big positive for Staten Island from a number one perspective. I think that would be a huge, huge impact. And
as a real estate perspective as well, I think it would cause property values to increase in that area, which maybe not be positive for everyone, but for those who do own property on the North Shore, I think that would be a big benefit.
Yeah, I think, you definitely could see, I think you'd see a real gentrification in a lot of those communities. You started to, this would be a big plus. I think it's one of those things we like, and hopefully it's something that we'll see in the near future. But the 7 things we need to, I want to continue because this is an odd one.
Yes,
this is a little bit
his
different.
Idea.
This is my idea. And, one of the things is that as time has gone on, the sophistication of, and like cities like Seattle, and Tokyo use monorail systems, which is good because you could access monorail through very small space. So I think a good idea, center median monorails maybe for Hylan Blvd, running north to south. Yeah, one of the things is that monorails in general, creating a high-speed passageways through Staten Island, using existing infrastructure that wouldn't necessarily have to require these huge rights of way. So you kind of elevate a little bit and you get, and these could be aesthetically pleasing. If you go into these other communities, these other cities across the nation who have monorail systems, they're actually developing monorail at a quicker and quicker pace around the world. And again, our infrastructure hasn't really changed much in the last 100 years. So it's like these types of proposals, while they're kind of like, they may seem wildly off, but you could use these types of monorail systems, again, not to really push your infrastructure to going underground for subways and etc. So I think using high-speed monorail, even going through Staten Island, using the Verrazano Bridge.
Okay, so you would go over the bridge. That was my next question.
Yeah, we'd bridge it right into Manhattan, and I think we could probably cut commute times down to about, using high-speed monorail, which Germany actually has magnetic monorail system, which is like they literally, it doesn't even touch track. It uses magnets to kind of keep it floating. They just move it at incredible speeds. It's something to behold. You catch them on YouTube. Oh, I wish I had the name in front of me. I had it this morning and then I just forgot it. But I mean, it's a great system. And basically that monorail could travel at 325 miles per hour. And that's like 325 miles per hour. You're basically from Staten Island to Lower Manhattan in about 3 minutes.
Well, how many stops would you propose in Staten Island this had?
Yeah, this is just a fantasy at this point. So
yeah,
stops. I mean,
would it be as many as the railway we have?
No. No. I mean, I don't think. It depends. I guess you could go a whole bunch of different directions. It's just something that we should. This is like what I consider like those out of the way projects that, like, I don't know, maybe we should consider something like using our existing infrastructure as a way to enhance Staten Island's, very, very, very poor, or I hate using the word poor because everybody has a car here, so it's slow to move. So you catch a weekday here at 5 o'clock just behind me, and you could have conversations with the people in the cars outside. So basically, it's funny that you get this kind of stuff going on, going past here, and you can almost like touch people. That's how slow it moves. So it's
you could walk faster.
Yeah. So one of the things is monorail.
I don't know. I kind of was thinking, well, that's a good idea. I'd probably rather finish the tunnel to Brooklyn that was started before the Great Depression, and have a subway to Brooklyn.
A subway to Brooklyn?
Yes.
Yeah, well.
The reason being, there's only 1 or 2 buses that go to Brooklyn. We already have a Staten Island Railway, and I just love the ferry. I don't know. I mean, I know it does take longer, but I just think the boat ride is so relaxing, and I probably, if I was going to spend money, I'd probably rather build a subway to Brooklyn than on the monorail.
Oh, well, there you have it. I'm not going to argue with it started. If you actually go out to, there's actually still some parts to that subway system that still exists out. I believe it's in the Shore Acres area. There's like where that project started. Right. And I believe there's some little bit of relic left there. So you probably could go check that out.
Yeah, before the Verrazano Bridge was built, many, many years before. So,
but our list is kind of out of order, so I'm going to go into the next thing, which is the Seawall bike path trail type of thing.
Yeah, and that sounds really interesting. Tell me about that.
Well, this is the thing. I know under the Army Corps of Engineers that seawalls were scheduled to be placed along the south-facing shore of Staten Island. And one of the things Yeah, because of obviously Hurricane Sandy. But one of the things is that this is something that probably could be a benefit to use that, make these not just a wall. It should be aesthetically pleasing to and useful as a secondary recreational. And I think it would be fantastic to kind of have that, like, a straight run of basically traveling from the bridge all the way down to Tottenville. Now I know that there's certain parts of the South Shore of Staten Island that houses are actually on the waterfront. We've actually sold a few.
And the idea gets a lot of hate from people. They do not want to have to look at a seawall, but what if it was a nice looking, beautiful seawall?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that you can make these aesthetically pleasing. And I think also too, using public-private partnerships in the development of these things, where you create the big problem is that I think across New York City and across a lot of municipalities is they don't create these public-private partnerships. I think it's something that some administrations have looked at in the past and said, well, let's get some private investment in this. They can get some value out of helping us with the proposal via vending or using certain things for different recreational purposes, and basically sponsor parts of the development for use. But in essence, the irony of this is that Staten Island and south-facing coast here are still extremely vulnerable to storm surge flooding.
It's very low on the.
And to be honest with you, I guess you'd say in the last 10 years alone, there's been a multitude of repeated storm surge related damages,
and that hurts property values.
Yeah, it's
in addition, I mean, you know what? I shouldn't even say that first, because people's lives are more important.
I think at the end of the day, a lot of these things are bought out. But we have to look to make Staten Island. There's a lot of disconnects between here and the rest of the 5 boroughs when it comes to the type of the structure. There's a disconnect, and I think that there's so many things that we're kind of overlooked for, and one of them is being the West Side Highway is a great example of a development project that was something that was done over time, and it seems like a lot of these projects are focused.
Are you talking about the railway?
No, I'm talking about the wall, the seawall.
Oh, okay.
Using city-related space for the purposes of making aesthetically pleasing neighborhoods, and I think that a lot of that's being left out here. I mean, Staten Island needs some, just better central infrastructure in terms of parks and recreational.
Well, just think about the High Line and how popular that's gotten.
Yes, it's insane.
The city.
Yeah, I mean, it's these are things that we believe that if they were done, I think you could definitely see that these things would have a real good benefit to Staten Islanders, and I think
about being able to bike through some bushes and some
park developments.
Well, no. That's not the image I was. That's actually pretty funny to think about, but it's like a Wile E. Coyote type of thing. But no, I mean, just think about being able to enjoy greenery while you're on your bike, and protect the island at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, we're not building a wall. It's a seawall, but you can make these things aesthetically pleasing. Yes. But that's up there on my list. Now this is on your list.
Yes.
This is the Diner Theater Cinema.
Yes. So
this is kind of like on the entertainment side. And do you think that Staten Island? Now you're not from here, right?
Right.
So you've always told me we need more of an entertaining venue.
Well, okay. So in Menlo Park, New Jersey, there is a dinner theater where you can go see movies, and a lot of people will go over the bridge to go to get that experience. Millennials especially are into experiences more than actually physically shopping, and if you're interested, I did some writing on modern malls this week that I published on realestatesimy.com's
Yes,
blog.
it's about how the modern malls should look. But
yes, so that's
keep on
another
topic.
subject entirely.
Keep on topic.
But essentially the idea that younger people are after experiences. They're more likely to eat out. They're more likely to do things rather than buy things. So turns out that we are supposedly getting one at the old Hylan Plaza.
Is it true?
It is true. So I was doing research. It was weird. I found an article. We're getting another one in Charleston, in Charleston Commons, I believe, which is not going to be a dinner theater. The one in Hylan Plaza is going to be about 1,000 seats, 9 or 10 screens, and it's going to be a place where you can have dinner and a movie. And I think with the population in Staten Island, I don't know if 4 movie theaters is necessarily something we need. I think 3.
What do you mean 4 movie theaters?
Because we're getting one
Staten
in
Island had,
Charleston Commons.
When I was young, Staten Island had 7.
Well, yeah, but days were different.
I mean, it was like things are different back then.
Times are changing, guys.
I'm getting old, but I guess to the degree they are a little bit different. But
well, I know. I mean, I think you were even having this argument with me recently that we don't necessarily.
Now, who is that watching? Is there somebody there, Christiana? You know what? For the life of me,
can't read that far.
It's hard.
It says Ahmed. Hang on. And Christina Gersh. Can't even pronounce
okay.
that. Not even going to try.
It's Christina.
Hello, Christina.
How are you?
Howdy.
And actually, I think she's watching, and she's actually. I saw her promoting a thing that she's doing on Staten Island, that's cool. You know, thumbs up to that. That was some really cool stuff. And that's a shout out to you because that's really.
What's the thing on Staten Island?
Well, she's doing a walking. I guess. I mean, there's like a big reveal, so I don't know exactly.
Okay.
I know she's done some
mystery
things.
Event.
She's done some things on Staten Island, in terms of bringing out highlights of Staten Island, and she's doing a piece. It was really well put together. It was on Instagram. She basically highlights the simple life of Staten Island and how these things aren't that far away. It's a great shot. But good luck to that, and we'll be watching. I think it's a great.
Keep putting Staten Island in a good light.
And to plug Staten Island Lifestyles. You could yell at me if I said it wrong. I think that's it. Correct? You could yell. Just put a thumbs up or whatever. But,
yell through your computer, we'll hear it now.
But it's hard to see a name, so I just want to say hello. But anyway, the next thing.
Moving on.
Now, this is a controversial subject. If I told you, well, do you want to bring up what is it?
Number 6.
What is number 6? Yeah.
That's what he's going to talk about. You want me to say it first?
Yeah, you could say it.
Okay, so actually, both of us think, and we may get crucified for this, that Staten Island needs a landmark building because we don't really have one.
Well, I think she wants to go a little step further. Landmark high-rise,
which is yes, a high-rise building.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's not a popular subject here, but
no.
You know what's funny? You think about the downtown of Staten Island, and you think about
how cool the views of the city are in that.
Yeah, it's
first of all.
And I think a lot of people get this whole thing with high-rise development being associated with transit and being transportation not friendly. But I think what happens is if you go up, you save space at the bottom.
And that also helps keep
and I've done
values
believe it or not, one of the things. Yeah, well, one of the things that I did is that a big problem with why we have the transportation problems, and I think a long time ago we did a video on this about how sprawl influences traffic, where people believe congestion is basically from tightening of how do you say
a town center?
Yeah, like a town center type concepts. That you can move people a lot easier when they're more concentrated than because of sprawl. It actually forces people to travel to transportation centers by car first. Which, if you go into St. George now, I don't even think you have the amount of traffic you have, right out here, and yet it's probably the most
No.
densely packed.
No, yeah, you don't.
You don't get the kind of traffic, so it's like, so density doesn't necessarily correlate with.
Because a lot of
traffic.
people walk around there and they ride bikes.
Right, exactly.
And
So
take,
it's a little
take
bit
buses.
Yeah,
you know.
and public transportation there is kind of accessible without having to get into a car to get to it. So I do think that an iconic, we can make Staten Island's North Shore a little bit more iconic. The wheel itself is not, what may or may not happen, but I do think that, creating identifiable skylines is unique to each of the other 5 boroughs.
That's true. We have a skyline.
Yeah, it's like that lump. It's like, when you're on the Staten Island Ferry, you just kind of look and it's like, yes, it's like that. You see those 2 buildings on like, which is actually Wagner College's dorm campus.
Oh, wow.
It's like you could see that and the 2 apartment complexes, which are located
Which is like
on Hamilton
Silver Lake
Avenue.
Park, right?
Yeah. No, that's great.
That one's pretty high.
Yeah, but you from the ferry, you can't see that.
Okay, yeah, the
You gotta remember, I have a little bit more experience than you, so I know what the dark buildings are without even knowing if they're there or not. It's
right,
like
well,
whether or not.
I used to live in St. George, so I know what you're talking about. On those big brick buildings by Jersey Street, actually.
So yeah, that's kind of like I'm pretty good with just knowing everything you see from I probably could see it from space into each of the buildings.
I'm usually too cold to stand at the front of a boat like that.
The thing is creating a landmark building, maybe not necessarily a high rise, but it's something that maybe.
It would help with housing costs too if we had more apartment buildings in general, just because there would be more housing for people. No.
Yeah, well, don't run for office.
I said we're going to get crucified for this, but you know what? We're not in the business of politics here, so we're going to say what we think.
So the one thing that I thought, and NASCAR was something that I know a lot of Staten Islanders opposed. And
this is going to be kind of a collaborative idea, right? That we came up between the 2 of us.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this is definitely collaborative. Which is a professional hockey team, and I think of all the sports in New York City, every single borough but Staten Island hosts a professional team.
New York City sports team.
Yeah, and you got the Queens, you have the Mets. Brooklyn now has the Islanders and the Nets, and the
Yankees, obviously, in the Bronx.
The Yankees in the Bronx. The Knicks and Rangers.
Even Jersey has Giant Stadium, right?
Yeah, I mean they have football there, and I think that
they have New York football in New Jersey.
We need to look to spur development, and I do think that creating iconic kind of landmark teams or professional teams that kind of make Staten Island identifiable. I just think that as a borough, there's some of us who push this borough very hard that it's part of New York City. It is to a degree. These things are kind of missing. And I do think
need
that
kind of more reasons for people to come here.
Yeah, and I think that venues, when you have venues, and these big venues bring in not just sports teams, they bring in concerts, they bring in other types of tourism that would help spur local business. I think one of the big problems with Staten Island is, so yes, you get the ferry terminal and you have what develops around, but creating venues that people would kind of visit as part of coming into Staten Island is something that we should look to do. And I think that Staten Island does have, has some parcels and things like that. Even if it's public, in certain public areas that maybe, or Superfund sites that could be cleaned, mitigated, and
there's so much on the western part of Staten Island.
It's like really the Western Shore would be a fantastic
Right,
venue.
which is where the NASCAR track, I believe, was supposed to go.
Yeah, that's where Howland Hook and the development of Howland Hook is, was the place for NASCAR. And one of the big arguments with NASCAR was that Staten Island's transportation infrastructure was, it was a big. I was around.
It was very controversial. I wasn't.
Yeah, I was in that administration when when that was the topic, and it was quite. Staten Islanders were a lot were against because of traffic concerns, and I get that part of it. But you talk about NASCAR. I think some of their fan-based stadiums are in the 120,000 plus range, where they have considerable amount of car traffic. But there was all sorts of promises made with ferries and things like that, and run 3 times a year. But like in hockey venues, you really get a max of 20,000 person stadium, not over the top, and it's like one of those things where you had said, even creating like a public use type of thing.
My idea really was that when I grew up in Florida, I had an indoor ice skating rink. It was really, really nice, really popular with kids, and as a Floridian, I got to take ice skating lessons. And now we have this little rinky-dink arena at Clove Lakes Park that's only open during winter. Now, who wants to go ice skating when it's cold outside? Wouldn't you rather go ice skating, when it's hot outside?
Like when it's
go indoors?
Like when you're in Florida, right?
Yeah, it's probably why it was so popular. But I feel like that's something that's really missing here that I would really love to go to. And so that's why we kind of meshed the two ideas together. We could use a professional sports team as a hockey team, and on off-peak hours, open it to the public to skate and take lessons.
Yeah, the big, to take lessons.
Yeah.
I know, because we have so many, you see when you're from the north, basically, ice skating is like a way of life. So yes, it is. You get
Clove Lakes Park,
because you're from Florida. When we were kids, we used to ice skate.
Pretty sure you don't know how to figure skate. That's what I'm talking about. Is I took figure skating.
No, we used to know how to skate, where my mom would push me and we go
a few feet and then you'd fall on your face. That kind of stuff.
No, we didn't go a few feet. We could go a good ways. But the bottom line is that the hockey venues here for the kids is not really. You have to go. A lot of the people have to travel to New Jersey.
To New Jersey, right?
And it's like
the story of a lot of things. People go to New Jersey for many things, including shopping malls.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
But it's one of the things that we could put on our wannabe favorite list.
Yeah.
All right. The next thing is.
I think this is the last thing.
This is the last thing. Now, folks. I just don't understand this. This is the one puzzling question. Why Cheesecake Factory has not come to Staten Island?
That's the one everyone can agree on, I think. Right?
Yeah, it's that is I've always said, the one venue here. Is anybody interested in opening a Cheesecake Factory here on Staten Island? We'll help you look for the property.
Yeah, give us a call. We do commercial.
But really, Cheesecake Factory is of all, you get these, not the guys at Sonic, Sonic is great, but I want a Cheesecake Factory. Let's just call it for what it is.
Yeah.
There's nowhere else, you have to go to, it's in, it's in Edison? Yeah. The Cheesecake Factory is in Edison, part of Menlo Park Mall. And
same place as the dinner theater.
Yeah, I know, it's because if we get another sushi place, my mercury levels can't take much more.
I don't know. We got a bridge tax,
and that's our seventh and final, because we really feel the seventh and final thing could be pretty reasonable. Did you do any research to know if Cheesecake Factory is actually privately held? Is that a franchise?
I'm pretty sure it's a franchise. I did not research that, but
no, I think it's private. I believe it's privately. I don't believe it's franchised.
All right. I don't want to say either way.
So anybody out there in like Facebook land that knows whether it's franchised or not, you can let us know.
And how to get one. You know, you're going to say this is heresy. I've never been to Cheesecake Factory before.
Oh my God.
My dad makes such good cheesecake. I never needed to.
You don't go to Cheesecake Factory for cheesecake, just so you know.
Well, I've heard great. No one that I've talked to has ever said bad things.
Oh, my wife is watching. She knows Cheesecake Factory.
Do you like cheesecake, Giselle? No, the Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory is basically like, I don't know, it's like, yeah, you have the cheesecakes and everything else, but like their food is just like, I don't know, it's very good. It's
heard their menu is like a book.
Yeah, it's like all this great stuff. But that's the that's the last thing, the best. The last thing that we, on our wish list of possibilities, and some more real than others, that's where we're at.
Yeah,
but
that's where we stand.
We stand, and it's.
And throw us some comments.
We stand on a lot of like ideas. But one of the things that
story of Staten Island,
right.
A lot of ideas.
Yes, but like I said, some of these are just the beginning of some of the ideas that will probably float around every now and again, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more attention. Maybe I'll see like a monorail outside the front of my office.
Maybe. Do you think that would mess with traffic at all? Would you have to like take a chunk out of the road for that?
You're going to operate it, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
be a union worker. I'll get a good pension.
But anyway, like I said, these are some of the ideas, and try to keep it a little lighthearted today. But next week I know we'll be discussing some more things around going back into some of the statistics, property taxes.
Yes, I did. I went into that a little bit. I'd like to go.
And how you can reduce property taxes on your home if you have one, if you have to, or you want to dispute your tax assessments, and actually how we could actually help you with that. So it's something for next week, and you can kind of keep tuned into that, and we'll tell you how to go about it. Oh, and there's one other. There's one other project that actually is good for that's good for this area. I think it was announced last week that Eltingville is getting the street widened. The commercial Amboy Road is being widened and landscaped to be really nice. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I don't want to forget it for some reason. I did, but I wanted to get it in there.
What road?
Amboy Road between Richmond Avenue and I believe Armstrong is going to be widened out. So and it's supposed to be a nice streetscape.
Cool.
And the other very, very last thing is Audrey Casso is having a birthday today, and I wanted to wish myself, Irina, and the staff here, I want to wish her
happy
very,
birthday,
very happy
Audrey.
birthday.
Been with us for 6 years, right?
No,
I thought it was
since our existence.
Oh, so long ago.
So we're 8 years. She's 7.
Wow.
Yeah, she's
from pretty much the beginning.
Yeah, she's seen this kind of grow up a bit.
Yeah. Had a lot of changes. I've seen it grow up a bit too.
Yes, you have. But like I said, we'll get into those topics and more, and hopefully we'll see you around next time. And
yeah, and I hope you had fun. I mean, I know that I did.
Yep.
Did you?
Always. Come on. How can you not have fun?
That's true.
What other way could you spend the Friday?
Cheesecake Factory and ice skating.
Till next week, folks.
Till next week. Ciao.
And leave your questions and comments.
Yes, please do. We always read them and typically respond to them.
I'm glad you're typically responding.
I don't always respond. Other people.